What do you do when the season rips out from under you? A dislocated ankle, a fractured fibula, a ruptured deltoid ligament, and the world still wants to know who you are. Do you disappear, lick your wounds, and wait for an obituary of potential? Or do you stand up, take a camera, and remind everyone you're still very much in business? Cam Skattebo chose the second option. One moment he's on the turf watching the city tilt away, New York Giants fans holding their breath as the trainer carted him off after that Week 8 hit. And the next, he's on a Lovesac sectional with StealthTech surround sound, controllers in hand, grinning into a camera like this pause was just another level to beat. It's a small image with a loud message. The body may break, but the story doesn't have to end. Let's rewind a bit. The kid from Arizona State, a fourth-round pick who arrived with a chip and a highlight reel, exploded into our screens this year. Through 8 games, he had 410 rushing yards and 5 rushing scores. He caught 24 passes for 207 yards and 2 more touchdowns. For a rookie, those are not just numbers. They're proof of impact, sudden, versatile, and game-changing. Then the injury happened, abrupt, brutal, season-stopping. For a player in the middle of making a name, that's the nightmare act of every sports drama. You train to survive hits, right? But you don't train for the silence that follows. So why does a furniture deal become the headline? Because how an athlete handles being sidelined says as much about their career as what they do on the field. Skattebo's announcement with Lovesac is not just commerce, it's strategy. Lovesac's StealthTech is lifestyle theater. Speakers and wireless chargers baked into a couch, the kind of sleek, social media-friendly product that fits right into highlight reels and lifestyle posts. In a single Instagram moment, Skattebo lounging, surround sound blasting NBA 2K, he turns a recovery timeline into a brand narrative. Come for the comeback, stay for the vibe. There's a poetry in that. Football is a fragile business. Contracts and highlight reels and endorsements are all built on performance, which can be indistinguishable from luck. But the modern athlete is more than raw yards. He's a platform, a persona, a collection of touch points fans can interact with off the field. Skattebo already had deals with Nike, Raising Cane's, and Logitech. Those aren't just vanity checks. They're signals that he's marketable, relatable, and interesting to audiences outside MetLife Stadium. Lovesac slots right into that portfolio because it's about relaxation and domestic presence, an image any comeback story needs. Rest, reset, come back stronger. There's also the rehabilitation calculus. Recovery is months of monotony interspersed with little victories. A brand partnership does something practical in that stretch. It gives an athlete public breathing room. Instead of being judged each week on a stat line, he's allowed to show a broader life, sponsorship posts, product demos, and little windows into non-football rhythms. That matters mentally. Rehab is not just about physiotherapy. It's about identity work. When you can say, I'm more than my last play, you can survive the seasons where your body says otherwise. And yes, the optics are smart. Skattebo's line, run through a wall, then relax and vibe on my Lovesac StealthTech, reads like a mission statement. It's playful but strategic. It tells sponsors what he values: intensity in the moment, recovery after. For fans who miss seeing him burst through a crease, it's a soft bridge. For potential future partners, it's proof he can sell a lifestyle as convincingly as he sells a touchdown dance. But let's not sugarcoat the other side. He's a rookie. He's had that violent injury. The Giants are 2-7 in 2025, and the team is watching film of losses. A locker room heavy with questions and the kind of pressure that turns small turns into season-defining arcs. Skattebo's recovery timeline now becomes a team variable. Does the offense alter its playbook to account for his absence? Do they search for replacement chemistry and find it, or do they hollow out their running identity? These are not trivial questions. Football is a system where pieces interact. Losing a dynamic rookie can change blocking schemes, passing checkdowns, even how defenses line up. Still, there's agency in what Skattebo did on Monday. He picked partners that amplify a narrative of resilience, a couch built for recovery, collaboration with brands that match his youthful, gamer-friendly image, a social media post that humanizes him rather than mourns. It's a small pivot from the old model where an injured player disappears until he's medically cleared. The modern approach is narratively smart. You stay visible, you diversify your story, and you monetize the downtime rather than monetize only the highlights. We should also think about the broader business of the NFL. Rookies today aren't just draft picks, they are micro brands. Teams cultivate them, but ultimately athletes and their agencies shape public narratives that extend beyond the playbook. Partnerships like this are a reminder that a player's career calculus includes off-field equity as much as on-field production. For a young player with a serious injury, that off-field equity can be a lifeline: endorsement money, fan goodwill, and a cushion that buys time to focus on recovery rather than immediate contract pressure. There's a human beat in the middle of this corporate rhythm. Picture him healing. Early mornings in therapy rooms, the boredom that's louder than pain, the temptation to rush back. Imagine scrolling through social feeds and seeing his own highlights like taunts. That's where a brand partnership can actually help. It gives him controlled content to share that's not performance anxiety boiled down to a stat line. Relax and vibe isn't a throwaway line. It's a permission slip to be human in public. This doesn't mean the story is solved. Comeback narratives are messy. The body has its own timetable. Sometimes you return and pick up where you left off. Sometimes you return and must relearn angles and instincts. Sometimes the roster moves and the team identity shifts while you're gone. So the real test will be what happens when Skattebo's number gets called again in a stadium where the lights don't pause for pain. Will the muscles remember those first explosive steps? Will the mind trust its foot? And will the fans still cheer with the same ferocity as the highlight reels fade and hard work resumes? For now, he's chosen to control as much as he can. He took a season-stalling injury and turned it into a public posture. Hustle, then rest, smash the game, then savor the couch. It's pragmatic and aspirational at the same time. It's a young man acknowledging that sport and commerce are braided. It's also a reminder to fans that athletes are more than instant evaluations. They are brands, people, and sometimes just guys who want to play video games with surround sound while their bones knit. So when the Giants head to Chicago to face Caleb Williams and the Bears, the roster will miss his burst, but the bigger arc is still being written. Skattebo's partnership with Lovesac is not a consolation prize. It's a chapter in a career that will be judged by more than this single season. Whether he returns next year as the same force or a recalibrated version, he's already shown a savvy for the modern game. You don't wait for opportunities, you make them, on the turf and on the couch. If you want the final image, hold this. A rookie who learned to run through walls, like now lying back into a couch that hums with sound, controller in hand, eyes steady. That's not a retreat, it's a reset. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows the season isn't a single moment, but a series of them, and that sometimes the comeback starts with a rest. You remember the image. A rookie cuts, lowers his shoulder, the crowd roars, and in one impossible beat, the whole night changes. For Cam Skattebo, that highlight reel life turned into a hospital trip in an instant. The New York Giants' fourth-round pick ripped through defenses all season, then suffered a devastating injury against the Philadelphia Eagles that ended his rookie year and rewired the team's plans. Surgery went well, but the diagnosis was grim: a dislocated ankle with a fractured fibula and ruptured deltoid ligament, and the Giants placed him on injured reserve as they begin the long work of roster repair. NBC Sports. So why am I talking about a partnership with furniture right after that? Because sports lives in more than pain and X's and O's now. It lives in brand moments, culture, and the business side of a player's life. On Monday, Cam Skattebo announced a deal with Lovesac, the tech-forward furniture company known for its StealthTech sofas that tuck speakers and chargers into the couch. The social post was low effort in the best way. Skattebo, recovering at home, kicks back on a StealthTech Sactional, boots up NBA 2K, and writes the kind of line that feels both like an ad and a promise. Run through a wall, then relax and vibe on my Lovesac StealthTech. That's my game plan. It was a little defiant, very on brand, and oddly comforting. Yahoo Thethau. There's an emotional geometry to this that's worth pausing on. A rookie's identity is forged on the field. Practice reps, pads, the grind that builds trust. When a player like Skattebo goes down, the public reflex is grief plus speculation. Will he come back the same? Will the team's identity change without his burst? But there's also a private story that often gets lost. The player who must suddenly become a brand manager, a patient, and a rehab fanatic all at once. The Lovesac post isn't vanity, it's stability. It's an athlete saying, I'm still me. I still have fans, deals, and a life beyond this moment. That's a small but crucial mental win on the road to recovery. Yahoo Thetao. Let's put the football facts on the table because this matters. Before the injury, Cam Skattebo carried 110 times